I am so excited to share my latest resource, downloadable print your own flashcard decks. These have been created following my many years working with children of all abilities in the clinical setting, and my themed flashcard decks work. The kids love them because they're engaging and they encourage movement, learning, coping skills, and just plain fun. From dinosaurs to Halloween, each deck includes suggested and themed centering techniques, warm-ups, guided meditation, relaxation, yoga-based movement, and games. Each card in the deck includes multiple yoga-based practices to choose from, meaning you can enjoy a different experience each time you play, and there will always be something that's suitable and accessible for the child you are working with or the setting you are working in. These are highly adaptable tools, and they work in the classroom, hospital, office, or home setting. Download and print on card or paper stock of your choice and enjoy creative, adaptable, and accessible adventures for many years to come with children of all abilities and in all settings. I promise you will not regret adding a set of 2 of these to your resource collection. And keep checking in. I have created a lot of these decks over the many years I worked in the clinical setting with children of all abilities, and I'm slowly updating and releasing them to the public so that all children can benefit from these wonderful tools. Hi, I'm Lisa Roberts from Yoga School, introducing session 27 of Movement, Meditation and Mindfulness, a training program for pediatric professionals, educators, and parents. So session 27, we'll be exploring the fundamentals of yoga-based stretching for children. This is part 3 of a 3-part series. And today we'll be exploring, and I'll be demonstrating, yoga-based restorative stretches that fall under the categories of inversions and the big relax. So the big relax is known in traditional yoga as final relaxation pose. It is considered one of the most important yoga postures of all. And I highly recommend it during movement, meditation, and mindfulness practices. It's just that really supportive letting go pose. I call it, a lot of children I work with have called it do nothing pose, and that's truly what it is. Really supportive, and it's just that little rest you take at the end of any session after movement, after mindfulness, after exploring the breath, just to recharge your batteries and just soak up the benefits of your practice and take a rest before you and notice how your body feels before you get up and go back into your day. So it's a very important key piece, and I'm going to show you different ways to approach the big relax so you can truly support children of all abilities and provide them with that education on self-care and how to truly support themselves in do nothing or final relaxation posture. So we'll begin, and before we start, I just want to review the core benefits of restorative-based stretching for children. Being mindful that it's not just kids who benefit from this. We all benefit from restorative-based stretching. It truly is a practice for everybody. I'm going to go through demonstrating postures today, and I encourage you to try them. But I also encourage you after this webinar to truly go back and explore the postures, try each one out, and hold them for a significant amount of time so you can really reap the benefits and feel what the releases and support feel like when you truly practice for the optimum amount of time. Now, for children under the age of 12, I recommend 1 to 3 minutes and incrementally increasing the time. So starting maybe at 1 minute and just seeing how they go. If they're comfortable, you can then start to increase the time. Children, say 12 to 16, 17, 3 to 5 minutes is fine for that age group. And then when we're looking at children who are older, who are probably most likely done with most of their physical development, then I encourage an adult practice, which is 5 to 10-minute holds. And that's what I encourage if you're an adult watching this, you to do after this practice, so you can really truly see what props and gravity to support and passively stretch the body. So you're going to get the benefits of the stretch and the categories that it falls under. So for example, hip stabilizers, you'll get a hip stabilizing stretch. Forward bend, you'll get the benefits of a forward bend, but it's done in a passive and very relaxing and nurturing way. So the body has a chance to truly let go of any physical tension and just melt. It's very supportive, it's very grounding and centering, both for the mind and the body. Now, a lot of these body positions also support the body in the way that it encourages slow and deep breathing. And so this encourages deeper relaxation. It can lower the heart rate, lower blood pressure, lower cortisol levels. Cortisol is a hormone that is released when adrenaline is running and when our fight or flight is activated. If we're stressed, if we're rushing, if we're busy, if we're moving too fast, that can all trigger a fight or flight response and release cortisol. So if we're lowering that, we're bringing everything down, we're calming down the body and calming down the mind. It is very helpful when all of this is occurring through restorative-based stretching, that we're deactivating any sympathetic nervous system response and activating our parasympathetic nervous system. So just a quick reminder of what that is. If you think of the autonomic nervous system as like a teeter-totter or a seesaw, we have our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight mode. And that doesn't necessarily be activated if, we truly need to be in fight or flight if we're in a very nervous situation. It can be activated when we can't find our car keys, or we're looking for our iPhone, or if we're just rapid breathing or taking the lazy way and breathing short, sharp breaths throughout our day because we're busy. That can activate fight or flight. So it doesn't have to be imminent danger that can have this autonomic nervous system response happening. Now, if we're doing all this deeply nurturing yoga practice, yoga-based practice, and stretching and nurturing the body and gently releasing any tension and encouraging slow, deep breaths, you can see what's happening. We're deactivating our sympathetic nervous system response and activating our parasympathetic nervous response to bring it back into balance. So that's what I mean by that. And of course, all of this can really have a positive impact on the body, super relaxing. And I find this style of stretching really helpful in the hospital setting for a lot of my patients who are looking for quality rest and quality sleep. But you don't have to be in the hospital to benefit from this. I also encourage this kind of practice just as a nighttime routine, a before bed routine for families with children. So there's lots of applications for restorative-based stretches and loads of benefits. So what are some of the enhancements? How can we make it even yummier? We can dim the lights and draw the shades to just make it a little more, setting the mood a little better. Being aware that some children are afraid of the dark, so you don't want to make it too dark if that's the case. So communication is very important. Everybody is different, whether you're working with a child or an adult. Finding what works for the person is key. Putting a do not disturb sign on the door is a wonderful way just to make sure there's no eliminating any distractions. Also turning phones off, of course, putting them on vibrate and moving them away from the practice space is also helpful. Music can help. Some children I work with don't want music, and that's fine too. We just listen to the rhythm of the breath. That's our own inner music, and we relax to that. Or you could introduce nature sounds or gentle piano, classical music, spa music. There's lots of apps with different outdoor sounds and things that you can work with the individual you're working with and find what works for them. I just recommend no lyrics because they can be distracting and take one out of the practice. When we're holding these nurturing postures and really stretching and releasing the body, I do encourage introducing breathing techniques, progressive relaxation, guided imagery, just to really make it a truly nurturing experience. So we're staying connected. We're not just hanging out in this stretch and letting our mind race. That's counterintuitive to the whole practice. So encouraging that inward reflection and learning meditation skills, progressive relaxation is all very, very helpful for this. You'll see I have my socks on today and my cozy wrap, so being as comfortable as possible. The body temperature also drops when we relax, so you want to have blankets on hand, extra blankets if they're needed. Eye pillows are helpful to really help send the message to the brain through the nervous system, hey, it's time to calm down, it's time to relax. So all of these extra modalities and extra props can just help make it a truly nurturing experience. Aromatherapy is one I forgot to mention, and this is very important to do your research. If you're bringing aromatherapy or scents into the practice, first of all, be aware that some people are highly sensitive to scents, so you must communicate and ask for permission prior to introducing them. And do your research. Make sure if there are any contraindications for the oils or the scents that you're using, that you're aware of what they are, and you communicate with the individual whether these are a safe application for them. And we'll begin with inversions. So what are the benefits of inversions? In general, inversions can help to decompress the spine, and they can also help to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. They're very calming. You'll notice the ones we do today, and you might recognize some of them if you've had a yoga practice before, and there's just something very, very calming about being upside down a little bit. Wellness support. So the wellness support of inversions, allergies and cold relief. It sounds counterintuitive, but sometimes when we invert, and we're not actually going up on our heads today, so this is a more general benefit of inversions, but just increasing the blood flow to the head and the direction of the flow can help to release any built up fluids in the sinuses. And it sounds counterintuitive, but then when you so if you invert or tilt your head back or tilt it forward, where there's an opportunity for it to drain a little, when you revert, they can actually drain away and free up. It's just a common practice in therapeutic-based yoga and yoga therapy circles that inversions and forward bends, as a matter of fact, are used for allergies and colds. We are going to go more into this in future webinars on wellness, but that's just a little extra bonus information for today. Relief from low back pain. And actually, inversions can be helpful for a lot of back pain. Regardless of whether it's low, mid, or upper. It just depends on the type of inversion and the type of the pain and what's causing the pain. But just general achy low back pain from poor posture or sitting habits or walking habits, this can be very, very helpful. And a lot of these mild inversions are actually lovely for the low back too. We'll explore those today, and I'll point out those as we go along. Stress and anxiety relief is just really nice and calming when we do inversions, particularly the ones we'll be exploring today. And inversions do support posture and alignment. So let's explore some inversions. So this one, very common one, is called legs up the chair. And to give it a cute kid-friendly name, I've called it snoozing calves. Because of course these are our calves resting on the seat of the chair, and just wordplay calling them sleeping calves as in moo cows. So you can see when we've got the legs up here, it's almost like a supported happy baby. Lifting the legs up and the back will flatten out against the floor and release any tension in the hips and the lower back in a very supportive way. So it's great for low back pain relief. Also, again, as you'll discover when you try this, it is wonderful for stress and anxiety relief. It's very, very supportive. Now you do need to be mindful of the size of the chair. The chair I'm going to demonstrate on today is the right size for me, but I'm going to give you some tips for when you're working with kids who may not fit. They're tiny, they've got shorter legs, a regular size chair may not work. So I'm going to give you some tips for that. So a warm-up. I don't recommend holding restorative-based postures for long periods if you haven't warmed up. You could do a very general seated or prone or supine warm-up prior to the practice, and then practice a series of restorative-based stretching. And that's absolutely fine, and that's what I do recommend. For the purpose of today, I'm going to show individual warm-ups that would work for each individual posture. Now, you could tie those warm-ups together and find yourself a nice little warm-up routine. And the reason I'm doing this is if you were looking for a targeted practice, like you're looking for something immediately for low back pain and you want to do this specific posture, you know what warm-up you could do and then go straight into this posture. So that's why I'm doing that. If you do want to look at any sequences, there is an earlier webinar on warming up, and you'll be able to watch that and you'll get some great tips on warm-ups that are safe for all abilities and adaptable for all situations, and also exploring how to make them fun for kids. So there's a previous webinar on that, but also just by doing the ones that I demonstrate today, you could tie those together and make a cute little routine as well. So recline, cute and effective, I should add. I know I'm all about making it cute for kids, but it also must be beneficial and effective, or there's really no point doing this. So I do hope that's become clear through this webinar series. So warming up, recline tiny seat, which I will show you, and rocking happy babies. This is a little massage for the low back and the hips and low back area before we settle into this posture. The breathing and mindfulness technique I recommend is belly breathing. The belly is so open here, so just being aware of the belly and encouraging some deep belly breathing. And then counter stretch is the same as the start of the warm-up, reclined tiny seed. So I'm going to change the screen so you can see better. And today I'm using just a regular chair, and you'll notice I'm placing it on the yoga mat. The reason being, whenever you're using a chair in a practice, you want it on a secure space so it doesn't slip or shift. So safety is key, of course. Now, if I had especially long legs or this was a shorter chair, you could place a pillow or a bolster or some blankets on top to give it more height. If this was not the right size for the child, if these legs were too long, instead of a chair, you could stack bolsters or blankets so until it came to the right height. In the hospital setting, I use the table tray. There's the rolling table tray, and I'll slide that down to the right height for the child so they can access this pose in bed. So there's different ways to work around it. You could use a child-sized chair as well. Just being aware that once in position, you want the child to be supported or the person to be supported. So the back is on the floor, the hips are in front of the chair, the backs of the thighs will come up to the level of the chair, and then the calves rest here. And it should all be supported and rested, no holding on in the body. So to get into position, I'm going to sit perpendicular to the chair, roll around, and you'll see how I just scooched myself in. So my calves are resting on the chair, and my back is on the floor. So we're going to begin with my tiny seed. So I'm just hugging in, making a tiny seed, and then I'm coming into happy baby. And I'm going to do that gentle warm up, so rocking from side to side. I can't go too far because I've got the wall here. So you just want to be aware of things like that, where you're placing the person when they're practicing, and just being aware of wall spaces and things like that. It's just the way I've got set up for filming today. But typically, I would move the mat a little bit away from the wall for this one, so there was space to do the happy baby. And then just resting my calves on the chair and relaxing. My hands are on my belly for this one. You could take them in cactus or out straight in a T. I like to rest them on my belly because that helps me be aware of the belly as I'm breathing. Easy inhales and relaxing exhales. And then when I'm ready to come out, hug the knees in And I'm gently rolling to one side and pressing myself up to a comfortable seat. So we'll see which one we have next. So that's snoozing calves or legs on a chair. So this one, legs up the wall, I've called popsicle melt. I like to think of it as a popsicle stick, and the popsicle, the ice cream or the frozen treat on the popsicle is just melting. Now you'll see in this particular illustration, I've put a folded blanket against the wall. And the reason I've illustrated this is so the back is supported on something soft by the wall, but then you'll see how the headrest rests on the floor, and it just allows, the shoulders are just on the edge there, that would allow just for gentle support of the curve of the cervical spine. You could do it without the extra blanket. And again, the thickness of the blanket would depend on the size of the child and just obviously any neck injuries or anything like that can, or you know, any scoliosis or anything like that. So you do have to be aware of the neck and what's comfortable and what feels supported. You can also, just by observing, see whether or not the blanket is necessary. So I'm going to show it both ways actually when we do it and explain as we go. If you did it flat, you could also just use a small cushion or roll-up towel to support the neck and support the natural curvature of the cervical spine. So this one, absolutely, it stretches the back of the legs, so the hamstring and the calves get a nice stretch. It's a lovely release for the lower back and the hip area again, and super calming, super relaxing for mind and body. For this one, I will demonstrate it at the wall. It is, so the warm-up, I'm recommending tiny seat at the wall, which I will demonstrate to you. The breathing and mindfulness, again, we're coming back to the belly breath. The belly is so exposed here, so it just helps to give you that awareness of the belly as you're breathing and encourage those deeper, fuller belly breaths. And then the counter stretch, I'm doing tiny seat at the wall as well. So I'm going to switch screen. And we'll move the chair out of the way. And so I've just got a beach towel for this particular one today. And taking it against the wall. So I need to fold it out just a little bit bigger for me because I have a longer torso. And so I'm beginning by sitting perpendicular to the wall, bringing my butt right up against the wall, swinging my legs up. And then once I'm here, there's a little bit of gap between the baseboard and my bum. So I'm just going to walk my hips in. So this beach towel is just under my shoulders, and my neck, I feel it, it's lengthening here as my head just rests on the floor. So there's a little gap here. And it's the perfect arc of the natural curve of my cervical spine. So I do feel supported here. My legs are straight up the wall. I can take my arms out in a T, cactus, or rest my hands on the belly. Now, just the warm-up stretch. I'm going to start in tiny seats. So my feet are flat on the wall and my knees are hugging in. So this is a lovely start. And then we could go into our popsicle melt and just imagining our popsicle melting here. And that's exactly what I feel like. This is a very yummy pose. And then coming into tiny seat once again, counter stretch before rolling to one side. And coming up. And now I'm going to remove the towel. And I've got my small pillow handy. Same thing. Now, when you're doing anything at the wall, you want a clean wall, no bookshelves, no artwork. Even the window frame would be a really bad idea. This is just for demonstrative purposes, and I have a tiny office and not a lot of wall space. So you can see I'm very mindful. I'm using this wall to go up rather than honking my legs up where there's a door frame. But if you were leading someone in these practices, you would find a section of clean wall where they can access it from either side. So that's just an important note. Swinging my legs up, scooching my butt in closer. And so now, because I'm on a very flat surface, my neck is flattening out a little bit more. I don't have that cervical spine lift as much as I did. So I'm just bringing a small pillow under my head and neck, and there my head and my neck are supported, and the natural curve of my cervical spine is supported. And now I could just relax here for hours, but I won't. So that's 2 ways to access the posture and make sure that the natural curve of the cervical spine is supported and the neck's not being strained. So that's a blanket under the torso and shoulders, or a pillow under the neck and head. So let's see what our next inversion for today is. Kite. So this is reclined bound angle at the wall. So this is our reclined bound angle pose. Still at the wall, you begin exactly as we did in popsicle melt and just come into this leg stretch. I haven't illustrated it the same way, but exactly the same, it would be exactly the same setup as legs at the wall or popsicle melt, support under the shoulders, or a little head pillow under the head or neck. And we're just changing the position of the legs. So again, this is wonderful and supportive for low hip and low back tension. It gently stretches the inner thighs and the groins. And again, it's super calming and relaxing for mind and body. So to warm up for this one, we're going to do some wall slides, which I'll show you what those are. Again, the mindfulness, the ballet breath is perfect for this posture. And tiny seat at wall will be the counter stretch. Now, just to go back, these cute names you can change. You don't have to stick with the cute names I've given them. But the cute names, whatever cute name you give it, can be inspiration for the story behind it. So you could use this name, and I'll use kite as an example, for a lovely little guided imagery story, or for younger children who can't hold the posture, can't hold the posture, but can be a little distracted and not relaxed, or wanting to jump out and move the body. To help hold them in these longer holds, little conversations, whispered conversations. So here we can talk about our kite. Like, what does your kite look like? And what colors are in it? Does it have a tail? Where is it flying? What do you see? So you can start these conversations, definitely always with open questions so the child can respond and you can feed off of that. And in my experience, just these, and always whisper, because when we whisper, we're bringing the, it's a nice non-verbal cue. Hey, we're being really quiet and calm and relaxed, and they'll respond in a whisper. But these little conversations are just a wonderful distraction. They engage the child in the moment and enable them to hold the posture for the amount of time that is beneficial for them. Now, older kids may not need that kind of distraction or engagement to hold the posture, but maybe some guided imagery or a meditation about a kite that you write or make up can be helpful, or a story for slightly older children. And then, when we're talking about adults and teens, just encouraging them with the breathing or some guided imagery can be wonderful as well. And then you can change the name, of course, and change the story, change the theme of your meditation. And this works for every single one that we're demonstrating in this series. So let's begin with, we'll do legs at the wall and come into reclined bound angle or kite at the wall. So for this one, I'm going to just use the pillow. And again, exactly the same way as we got into it prior. Swing the legs around, walk on the butt, come a little bit closer to the wall. So I'm nice and close to the wall. I'm supporting my neck and head with a small little pillow. And I'm going to do some wall slides to warm up. So I'm bringing my feet to the wall. I'm drawing them down so my knees come in close to the body and then extending my legs. So I would inhale here, exhale as I come down, inhale and exhale. One more, easy breath in and breathing out. And now I'm going to breathe in, come to legs up the wall, bring my feet together and just slide my feet down the wall. And you can, so this varies. If I was super tight in here, we could just keep the diamond nice and big. And I'm coming down a little further to about here. This is where I'm comfortable. And then I'm just resting and relaxing. And then when I'm ready to come out, I'm going to extend the legs up the wall, relax, and come into tiny seat. And then gently roll to one side. And we'll demonstrate the next one. Okay, so twinkling star, I call this one twinkling star just because we're in the star shape. This is wide legs at the wall. So the exact same setup as legs up the wall, a popsicle melt, and the same benefits. And this one stretches the inner thighs and the legs. So the warm-up would be popsicle melt and wall slides. So we come into legs up the wall, do some wall slides, and then go into our twinkling star. Belly breath is a nice little breathing technique for this particular one. And I know I'm repeating belly breath, but you could do anything. You could do a twinkling star breath where as you breathe in, your star shines bright. As you breathe out, it fades. So with each breath, we're lighting up our star and then it's gently fading and pulsing between each inhale and exhale. So there's lots of different things you could do. Counter stretch. Exactly the same way we came in. Popsicle melt and wall slides are the perfect counter to this stretch. So again, we'll flip the camera and I will demonstrate. So sliding up to the wall again. So I'm going to scooch over just a tad, just so I can take my legs wide, regardless of the window frame. Just making sure I'm still in frame here. So supporting my head and my neck. My arms are out in my twinkle. And we'll begin with some wall slides. Last one. So I'm going to inhale up, flex my feet, and just let them open out to the side. And that gravity is doing the work. I'm getting a lovely stretch here. And I can just relax as I enjoy that stretch. And then I'm going to bring the feet back together. Wall slides once again, just to get the blood flowing back in the hips. And popsicle melt. And then coming back into a final wall slide, tiny seed, roll to the side. And when you roll to the side out of one of these postures, you don't have to get straight up like I am. Once you're on the side, you could encourage your student just to rest for a little bit longer and then slowly come up. If we're doing this deeply restorative, nurturing practice, you don't want big, bold, fast movements. That's really counterintuitive. So encourage slow movements, resting in between each movement. There's no rush to get up or move from one posture to the next. You can go very mindfully, very gracefully, very easily, taking time between each movement. So this is a personal favorite of mine, waterfall or supported fish. So this is where we're resting the body on the bolsters. We have 2 stacked bolsters here and letting the shoulders really open up, the chest expand, and the head rest on the floor. Now this may be too deep depending on the size of the bolster. So you really want to be aware that the head is supported. We're not straining, we're not hyperextending the neck. it's always supported. So maybe these aren't bolsters, maybe they're folded blankets, so it's not as high. Or if they are bolsters, maybe we have a pillow or a thicker folded blanket under the head to support the head and support the natural extension of the cervical spine. Always want to be very mindful of that. Visually, you can see alignment, and communicating with a child what feels good, what feels comfortable is very, very important as well. So this is a wonderful chest expander. So we're stretching the chest, countering slumped shoulders, and creating lots of space for deep, full breathing. For a warm-up for this one, because the focus is on the chest and shoulder area, shoulder shrugs, rocking and rolling along the spine. For a mindfulness, because I've called this waterfall, I've suggested flowing water breathing technique where the breath is easy and graceful, just like ebbing, flowing water. Of course, you can create a mindfulness or breathing technique that relates to whatever theme you're using or whatever you're naming the posture. And then a counter stretch tiny seat. So we'll get set up and I will demonstrate waterfall. So before I even begin, we'll begin with some shoulder shrugs. So squeezing the shoulders up to the ears, taking an easy breath in, breathing out, rolling and sliding them down the back. Inhale, squeeze up. Exhale to release. Last one, easy breath in, squeeze, 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 and relaxing on the exhale. And then I suggested rocking and rolling. So rocking and rolling, before we even get our props in place, we'll hug the knees in. You can hold on to the backs of the thighs or the tops of the shins and just gently rock and roll along the spine, giving it a nice massage. This is also very good for the core. It requires core engagement and core strength to gently rock and roll along the spine. Okay. Now, just want to make sure we can see. So I'm getting 2 bolsters and aligning them so they butt on the short edge. And then I'm resting my body on the bolster. Now I'm quite thin, so a regular bolster works for this. You may need to double up bolsters or use larger pillows, cushions, or stacked folded blankets as well work. So I'm coming up, so I should go scooch a little further up. So my shoulders, the tops of my shoulders and my armpits align with the top of the bolster. And then I'm gently resting my head back. And there's not a lot of room for my arm here just because of the way I set my mats up to film today. But you would typically not be right next to a wall. You would have space for the arm to go into a cactus or out or just rest alongside the body. So today I'm just going to rest alongside my body. And my cervical spine is perfectly supported here. It's actually getting a nice stretch and lengthening, and my head is resting comfortably on the floor. Now, if my head wasn't and I was holding it up like this, you would need to place some pillows or just the support under the body. But this is just right for me. And now I can close my eyes and relax. I'm getting a really lovely stretch across my chest and just relaxing here. Now to come out, we gently roll, supporting the body off the bolsters. Move the bolsters aside. And then come back into tiny C just to flatten reset the spine, neutralize the spine and the alignment. Could even do a couple of rock and rolls here. And come out of the posture. And just as a reminder, I know we've mentioned this several times, but you can't say it enough, I don't think. These postures are meant to be enjoyed for extended periods, not short little bursts like I'm demonstrating. This is just to demonstrate how to access them and what props to use. But the benefits are definitely experienced when you stay in these postures for a nice long hold. So let's talk about the big relax. The big relax is calming and nurturing and restorative. It helps to encourage the development of self-regulation and self-care skills. It's very relaxing for mind and body, and it's just that recharge point after any activity, whether it's big body movements and a very energetic flow movement class, just to take that time at the end to rest and restore and reward the body. It's almost like recharging your iPhone. And that's what this, or your electronics, that's what this particular practice is. Wellness support for the big relax, a very nurturing, supportive, resting posture, and truly supportive, where the body can truly let go. There's no holding on, no tension, because the body is fully supported. Can be helpful for fatigue. It can be supportive for stress and anxiety, and it just supports general well-being. My analogy that I always use is it's just like we have to reboot and charge our electronics sometimes, or we have to reset our computer if it's acting up. And this is what the big relax is that reset. And it's very, very important for mind and body. But let's explore how we can access the big relax in traditional and non-traditional ways. So I'm beginning with the superpower soak. So this is just a very basic supported reclined resting pose. I'm going to use, actually, instead of, so you can see on the illustration, I've used a rolled up blanket. You could use a rolled up yoga mat. What this does, it's just something propped under the knees. It doesn't have to be big, just helps to release the low back a little bit more and let it spread out, the hips and low back spread out and rest on the mat beneath you. And then of course, supporting the head. So for today, for me, I'm going to use a bolster under my knees and a small pillow under my head. As I've mentioned in previous webinars, and I'll mention it in this one too, you don't have to use traditional props. You don't have to rush out and buy traditional yoga props. If you don't have a bolster, you can use a pillow. If you don't have, or if the pillow isn't firm enough, you can roll up a blanket or roll up a beach towel. For blocks, you could substitute those with books and wrap them in a towel so they're a little bit softer. You may even wrap a regular block if you have them in a towel, because this might just be too much for some kids who are sensitive. Being aware of the size of the props in proportion to the size of the person you're working with. So seeing what's in front of you and seeing what the person needs to be supported, rather than sticking to the, oh, I need a block for this, because maybe it's not a block, maybe block doesn't work, maybe a square cushion works instead. Just being mindful that what you're using is providing the support that the person needs and the support that works for their particular body. So having said that, I'm just going to use a traditional bolster and pillow today, but this could very easily be a folded towel, and this could be a rolled up beach towel, just for an example. So warm up, rock and roll, rolling happy baby, windshield wiper. So I'm going to demonstrate those. And so to do that, I'm going to move the bolster to the side and the pillow to the side, because I don't want them under my body while I'm doing those three things. Mindfulness, letting go breath. So always when we're going into final resting pose, I like to encourage 3 full breaths, an easy inhale and then the letting go sigh out 3 times, just to really make sure that I'm letting any tension in the body go, or encouraging the individual I'm working with to let everything go 3 times, and then just let the breath be and let it be natural. And then typically I will go into guided relaxation with this, because I don't even want my practitioner or the person I'm working with, my student, to be thinking about their breath. I want them to truly be able to think about nothing in this pose. So guided imagery, guided relaxation, progressive relaxation technique, or just listening to some ocean sounds or some music or whatever ties in with your theme is what I recommend here. Really providing them with the opportunity to let go and not think about the body, but not think about the breath as well. Just let everything be. Is where we can truly restore and relax in this final resting pose. So I will demonstrate. And you've seen me do most of these by this point, so I'll just quickly go through. We can rock and roll. We can be a happy baby. And we can windshield wiper the legs. So again, you wouldn't have the wall here. You would have space on either side, so you could truly windshield wiper. You've probably heard me call this whale tail as well, or whale tail. Okay, and then when I'm done, I'm going to slide the bolster. So it's just under my knees. So I'll get this bolster out of the way. So it's just under my knees. Actually, I've got to bring it up just a tad higher. So that's nice and supportive. My low back really just, and hips and pelvis is really spread out, then it's settled into the floor. I felt it. Just from that little lift under my knees. Pillow is under my head. And then I would do my 3 breaths. Easy inhale. And let the whole body soften on the exhale. And we do 2 more of those. Last one, easy inhale. Now I'm ready just to soak up all my new superpowers. Superpower soak, I call this one. Again, that is optional and you're only ever limited by your imagination. Hugging the knees in to tiny seed, and I'll gently roll to one side. I would rest here before gently, slowly coming up to a seated position. So let's see which one is next. Because we can't always lay on the back. Maybe that's not accessible. So we have final resting posture in a chair. Now you'll see here, I've shown different ways to support oneself in a chair. Now perhaps when we sit squarely, and this is the point, we want, even sitting, we want to be fully supported so the body can relax even in a sitting upright position. Just like a koala bear perched in a tree, napping koala bear. They sleep, I think, about 23 hours a day. And in a tree, so are they awake? Or so to be able to fall asleep or fully let go in this sitting up in a seated upright position, one must be truly supported. So I'm going to demonstrate this in a chair, but I just want to point this out with the pointer. So if the bottom part, the hips and the lower legs, make full contact with the chair and the back of the chair isn't quite there to support the body, you can add a cushion or a pillow so that there's no gap between the back of the chair and the body, so the back is supported and held upright. If the length of the legs to have the seat part and the backs of the thighs in full contact and support the chair, if that eliminates the ability for the feet to touch the floor, you can place a bolster or some stacked pillows or even a stool under the feet. So the point is that the body is fully supported. The feet, the lower legs, the hips, everything is in alignment, and every part of the body that's making contact with the chair or the floor is supported. So it's like the body is floating in space. It is held at each point. So this can occur, you may need these extra elements if the chair is not the absolute perfect size for the person you're working with. You can make these adjustments. And just in general, it just may be an odd shaped or sized chair. So you can bring these elements in to ensure the body is fully supported. They can just be like a napping koala bear. So warm-ups, shoulder shrugs, seated cat-cow before we stop and go into the restorative, just to get some kinks out if we're going to go straight into a restorative resting pose for some guided meditation or guided relaxation without any prior movement. Letting go breath, followed by a guided relaxation. And then a counter stretch for sitting in the chair like this. I recommend seated forward fold with a roll up or seated cat-cow. So we'll demonstrate those. And again, I'm going to bring the chair onto the mat. For today, I'm going to sit a little bit angled, but you'll notice my chair is on the mat, so it's not slippery. Now, so just talking about that alignment, when I sit on this chair, there is a gap here. My feet can squarely touch the ground, so I don't need that extra support under my feet, but just so my back can feel supported and relaxed, I'm adding a pillow here. So it's a soft pillow, but my bum, I'm all the way on the chair, I'm not on the edge. Okay, I'm not sitting so far back, which I put in this chair, that my feet don't touch the floor. So my feet are comfortably touching the floor. I can gently press down through the feet, press down through my seat, and my back is fully supported all the way up. And so this is where I would be for my napping koala. But first we have to do our warm-up. So shoulder shrugs, breathing in and out. Breathing in, squeeze up. And breathe out, relax. One more, easy breath in and relax. And seated cat-cow is the spinal flexion and extension. So I'm going to breathe in, squeeze my shoulders together, stick my tailbone up on the inhale, exhale, and curling and rounding, tucking my chin, tucking my tailbone, pulling my belly, and curling, rounding into my cat. So inhale, cow, and exhale, cat. One more, easy breath in, and exhaling into cat. And then I would set myself up, or my student up, just using whatever I need to make sure fully supported, fully supported, fully supported, and in alignment. So as I am resting and relaxing here, my body is fully supported, so is my posture and alignment. And now I can just hang out here all day like a napping koala. And then to come out, I suggested a forward fold, so you could just roll down and start, it's kind of like a ragdoll, and then tuck the chin and slowly roll up, taking one vertebra at a time. Or you could do some more cat-cows. So that's a final resting pose, or supported resting pose. Let's get some of these props out the way in a chair. So let's see what's next. Again, just thinking outside of the box and finding ways to fully support the body to provide that nourishing experience, but also that sense of safety to truly let go and let the whole body and mind relax. So sleeping crocodile, this is how we can find a very restorative resting pose from the belly or prone position. So I've called this one sleeping crocodile because that's the kind of crocodile you want to run into if you run into one. Make sure he's asleep. So this fully supports the body and provides the ability for the body to deeply relax. I would do cat-cow as a little warm-up from the prone position before coming down into my supported crocodile. Breathing and mindfulness, the letting go, of course, and then going into whatever guided relaxation you're offering with this particular relaxation experience. And a counter stretch, sprouting seat, which I will demonstrate. So I'm going to set up. So this one, we're providing a little lift under the chest. It doesn't have to be a big one. So I'm folding a blanket And then I'm bringing a soft pillow for under my forehead. This is a very squishy pillow, so it's going to, my head will melt into it to the right point that my cervical spine will remain in alignment. If you have firmer pillows, I don't recommend them. I would fold up a towel and place this under the forehead. So actually, I will use the towel for today. So starting in a prone position, doing a few rounds of cat-cow, and then coming down, you want this towel just under the chest, so there's a little bit of a lift, and then scooch it back just a tad. So getting the props in the right position is key. So you do want to take the time, like I am, to tweak and find that sweet spot where they're in the just right position. So I'm coming down into my crocodile. I'm resting my forehead. There's just a little gap between the towel, the top of the towel, and the beach towel, the colorful one that's under my chest. I'm just giving my chest a little bit of a lift and support. There's a gap, a couple of inches between that and the towel at my forehead, because then my nose falls right in that gap. So it's not pressing into either towel. My forehead is supported. My cervical spine is in line and supported. And I'm just resting here, and I feel lovely and supported here. And then to come out of this, bending the knees and sitting my hips back on my heels, my arms are forward, so getting a nice stretch in the extended child's pose or sprouting seat. Okay, so that's a way to access a very supportive, nurturing, final resting stretch or posture from the prone position or from a belly. And then Stargazer, this is another personal favorite of mine. It's a semi-reclined, supported resting pose. So before this one, I would do rock and roll along the spine. I'm not going to demonstrate it this time. I think I've done it enough that you have a clear picture of what it is. So we rock and roll along the spine, and then we set up. So in this particular instance, and how I'm going to demonstrate it today, I have some blocks, some yoga blocks, and a bolster. You could use stack cushions. In the hospital setting, I use the incline setting on the bed, so we don't even need these kind of props, but then I will put a pillow along the length of the patient's spine and back just to provide that extra support and opening against the bed. So, and again, it doesn't have to be a bolster, it can be a pillow, it can be a folded blanket, and adjusting this to the height that is comfortable. You could also, in this particular one, add something under the knees as well, like a rolled up towel, add some extra support under the knees. Tiny seed would be what I recommend coming out of this, or just gently rolling off to the side and resting inside seed, just a little seed or side child's pose on the side, but I'll demonstrate that. So to set up, I will switch screens. I beg my pardon that I forgot that. And so I'm using 2 blocks. And I will do this profile today. So we're going to make a little ramp out of the blocks. So side by side here. Actually. So I have 1 block just in the middle here for additional support. It's on its side, and this is on its highest setting. I'll scooch it back just a tad more. Okay. So I've done my warm up, or I've done my previous stretches, getting ready for final relaxation. So my legs are extending out. The small of my back is against the low part of the bolster. So my hips are on the floor in front of this bolster or support, and then I'm gently leaning back. So my whole torso fits, including my head, and resting. So again, you'd have to be mindful of what size prop you're using. You wouldn't want anything that's short where the head is just hanging over here and the neck is hyperextending. You want the head and the back supported and just hanging out, resting here. I love this one because we're looking up and gazing at the stars. That's why I call it stargazer. But again, you can call it anything you like. And it's very supportive, very relaxing. If you wanted to, you could place support little towels under the hands. I've used weights, weighted bags on top of the hands too to help send that message to calm down, relax. You could place a sandbag on the belly in any of these postures actually, just to help with that extra sensory input to calm down, to relax, to let go. A weighted blanket also works too. So to come out, gently rolling to the side and slowly coming up. Never rushing movement, particularly when we're doing restorative, but throughout any of the practices that I teach and that I teach through this program, moving mindfully all the time, in control of body, mind, and breath. So coming up next is a free 30-minute webinar. It's an introduction to wellness and using movement, meditation, and mindfulness for wellness support. This will just be a general outline of that subject, and it segues into an ongoing series where I'll be demonstrating targeted movement, meditation, and mindfulness practices that target specific outcomes. So we'll be covering allergies and colds, we'll be covering headache and pain management, fatigue and low energy, positive body image, and many, many more targeted wellness support practices to really support children. And not just children. Again, I'm going to be demonstrating ways to adapt these for children and to present them in fun ways for children. But they truly work for everybody. So I hope you join me, and I look forward to connecting with you very, very soon.